Hello and welcome to Homemaking with Joy. I'm Rachel. It's Friday at the time of filming this video, which means Friday night pizza night at our house. I'll be making my favorite pizza, which includes our favorite pizza crust made from 100% freshly milled flour. I have hungry people at my house, so let's get started. The first step in this recipe, of course, is to mill your flour. When I was first converting this recipe from all-purpose to freshly milled flour, I chose hard white because it's most similar to all-purpose, but I have found that I really like the flavor and the texture that comes from hard red. So I'm going to grab my hard red wheat berries, run them through my mill, and make some really nice flour to make a really nice pizza crust. As with most recipes, I am doubling it. We're a family of 4, but we really like leftovers, especially of pizza. Makes a really easy Saturday lunch. So I have about 5 cups of flour here. I'm gonna throw that in my mixer with the rest of the ingredients, and then I'll decide if I need more flour after that. I have 2 cups of warm water, and I dumped in 2 tablespoons of yeast. I'm going to stir that and let it sit while I grab the rest of the ingredients. Technically, this should probably proof for like 10 minutes and it'll get foamy and stuff, but I don't ever do that and it always turns out fine. So let's set that off to the side. Grab my mixer, and I need 2 teaspoons of salt. I use Redmond real salt. 1, 2. And 2 teaspoons of sugar. Then I will add the flour that I just milled. And 4 tablespoons of oil, whatever kind of oil you like to use. I just eyeball this because it's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks good to me. What's next? That's it. Cool. Easy peasy. Here's my sort of foamy yeast mixture. Let's add that in. I'm going to mix this up a little bit and then I will share it with you. I have all the ingredients in my mixer. I actually grabbed my mixer base. I have a Bosch and like it very much. I'm just going to spin this for, I don't know, 10 seconds and combine all of the ingredients. Freshly milled flour takes longer than all-purpose to absorb that liquid, so we'll let it sit so I have a better understanding of the consistency of my dough. I will let that sit for a couple minutes and be back. It has been about 5 minutes. Let's knead this. The dough looked pretty dry when I first combined the ingredients, and now it's actually a little bit too wet. It's tacky when I touch it, and it's not developing the gluten like I want it to. So I'm going to mill a little bit more flour and add in here just until I get the correct consistency. You're mixing it up? Okay. All right. Thank you. It's ready. Clean the flour off my spoon.
I want to see.
I kneaded this for about 5 minutes and took my dough hook out, and this is what I have. Stretchy, soft dough ball. So I'm going to put this back into my mixer and let it rest for 15 minutes so it can rise. I'm gonna roll it out just so it fits in my mixer since it has that center section. There you go, see you in 15 minutes. While my dough rises, I'm going to shred some mozzarella cheese for on top. prefer not to buy pre-shredded cheese because of whatever the coating is on the outside of it. So I buy it in big blocks and shred it myself. It's also really easy to freeze the big blocks of cheese, so I can keep those on hand and stocked in my freezer. And when we do pantry challenges or whenever we want pizza, I have some cheese that I can shred and put on our pizza. It melts much more nicely without that coating on it, and I just like having fewer ingredients in my food. I also grabbed some home canned pizza sauce for on our pizzas. Generally 1 pint will work for us for these 2 pizzas, sort of 2. I have 1 big cast iron pizza pan and 2 small skillets preheating in the oven at 425. And this will cover all of them. That cheese will be plenty, and I have some other toppings that I will add to the pizzas when the time comes.
We have now reached the everyone is hangry phase of dinner prep, so please enjoy this voiceover while I try to wrangle toddlers and make pizza. Here's my pizza dough after that 15 minutes of rest/rise time. I'm going to get it onto my cutting board here and then cut it into the appropriate sizes for my different pizza pans. I'm going to cut my dough in half first. Half of this pizza dough will be for my large pan, and then the quarter-sized pieces will go into my cast iron skillets. This dough will get pushed out to full capacity when it's in or on the pizza pan, but to make my life a little bit easier and to get the process started, I like to push this out into sort of a circle to get myself started. My cast iron pans have fully preheated in my 425 oven, so I'm pulling out the skillets to fill with pizza dough. I need to oil them to make sure the dough does not stick to the bottom. Please be careful with this part because your pans are 425 degrees and I really don't want you to burn yourself. You'll see in one of these clips I retract my hand very quickly because I accidentally touched the side of the pan. I'm making sure the oil is coated around the whole bottom, and then I will grab some dough and spread it out. Again, this is why I made it into a circle before I started, so I'm a little bit closer and I can work a little bit more quickly in this semi-delicate process. And there it was. My pizza dough now covers the whole bottom of my skillet, so I'm going to put it into the oven to bake for about 10 minutes while I get the other crusts ready. I prefer to par bake my crusts and then add the toppings because I like the texture better. Here's a close-up of me spreading out the next crust. In case you noticed or care, there is some food on the side of this cast iron skillet. I used this skillet earlier in the day to saute some onions, and I didn't bother cleaning it out before I was making this pizza because onions and pizza go well together. Plus, let me tell you, the bottom of this crust tasted amazing. From the residual oil and the residual onion flavor that was there, it was delicious. It's time for my large pizza pan. This is also cast iron. I really enjoy using it. You'll see me coat it with oil again. I will make sure the whole bottom is covered with oil before I add my pizza dough. I try to be gentle with the dough while also putting it into the spots that I need it, and also having conversations with toddlers while I do it too. You'll see me spreading it out here with my fingers. I'm also careful to watch for thin spots. In the past, I've had sauce leak through to the pan because my dough was not thick enough in some areas as opposed to others. My fingers to push out where the crust would be. It's also just the easiest way to spread the crust around my pizza pan. You will get the hang of it the more that you do it. I'm also being very careful not to touch the pan because, again, 425 degrees, you do not want to come in contact with that. And now it goes into the oven to par bake for 10 minutes. We're doing it. Let's keep going. My skillets have been in the oven for about 10 minutes, so now it is time to top them with sauce, cheese, and any other toppings you had. I mentioned that the 1 pint of sauce would get me all the pizza sauce I needed, but I did find a little extra pizza sauce in the fridge, so I thought I'd add that too. I have some chopped green bell peppers to put on my pizza. Because of the skillet pizzas, we can personalize it a little bit better. My family won't like the green peppers, but I definitely do. And I have a lot of them in my freezer to use from last year's garden. And I have the mozzarella cheese that we shredded earlier. It melts so nicely and spreads so nicely and makes a really delicious pizza. Tell me in the comments, what is your favorite pizza topping? Usually mine is pineapple, but I didn't have any on this occasion. Plus the bell peppers really need used. These are going back into the oven for 5 to 10 minutes or until they look done. The crust is mostly baked, so at this point the main goal is to melt the cheese and brown the outside of the crust. It's almost time to eat. We are ready to eat this pizza. I did put it under the broiler a little bit, hence the brownness on top. The cheese was not melting as quickly as I wanted it to. Again, everyone was hungry, and so I popped it under there for a little bit, and wow, it turned out great. Well, sort of. I'm scrambling to get these out of the oven because I left them under the broiler a little bit too long. But it didn't impact anything negatively. The crust didn't get burnt. You can see it's dark, but it didn't taste burnt at all. It turned out really well. The pizza was a little bit too hot and the cheese was a little bit stringy for me to be cutting it for a video. But again, hungry people in my household. So this is what the pizza looks like. This is the skillet-sized one, and this one will be for me.
All right, maybe next time. Okay, I have to talk here for a second. Hi, buddy. The dough looked dry when I first combined all of the ingredients. Okay, can you please be quiet? I just have to say a couple sentences. The dough looked... The dough looked dry when I first combined the ingredients, and now it's looking a little bit too wet. It's pretty tacky when I touch it, like it gets on my fingers. So I'm gonna add more flour, and maybe kiddos will help.